really good people manager, that you're a great motivator of people, that you look for the absolute best in everybody, try never to criticize, whoever it is, just try, praise, 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 and people know when they've done wrong, they don't need to be it rammed down their throats, and I think that's the really key to a great leader, is just be somebody that loves people, genuinely loves people, and if you seek out the best in your team, it'll just come ricocheting back. It's nice to be able to see you all now. There's other people up there. Hello.
Here's a really good question about, you were talking about being frustrated by businesses. That's why you started a Virgin business. So what would be one other business other than the banks? Do you think Simon should start up a Virgin brand to cure the frustrations?
Well, look, I think it's completely up to him. You can't tell somebody what sort of business they should go in. They've got to have some interest, some passion. An awful lot of Virgin businesses came out of my own personal bad experience. I was trying to go from Puerto Rico to the Virgin Islands on a American Airlines plane, and I got bumped, and so I sort of went back to the back of the airport, managed to hire a plane, wrote on a blackboard, Virgin Airlines, $29 single, one way to the Virgin Islands, came out with my blackboard, walked around the airport, filled up my plane, didn't divide my name amongst all the other names, so I actually made $29 profit on the flight. But anyway, got back to England thinking, maybe if we did sharpen up the service a bit, we might have an airline, and maybe we should ring up Boeing. And anyway, the next call was to Boeing, trying to get them to persuade them to give us a second-hand 747. That was an interesting call. What did you say your company's name was? Virgin. What does it do? Well, we got the Rolling Stones, the Sex Pistols, anyway, somehow managed to persuade them to send a salesman over to England, and 3 months later we had a second-hand 747 with the Virgin logo on it, and a very panicked bank manager.
You swapped banks, didn't you? One bank wouldn't play ball, so you went to another.
Well, it was a nasty moment. We had the most fantastic inaugural flight, and everything was going great. And I arrived back in England and find the bank manager sitting on my doorstep, literally sitting on my doorstep, waiting for me at the end of the inaugural flight. And foolishly, I invited him into my house, whereupon he told me that the bank were going to foreclose. This was Friday on the Monday, because we'd gone a tiny bit over our overdraft facility, and I just told him he wasn't welcome in my house, and I pushed him out of the house, which, by the way, I don't recommend to do to bank managers.
Why not?
And told him he was not welcome ever again in my house, and then I just sat down and just collapsed. Just a horrible feeling, which I'm sure a few people in this room have been through when you're running businesses and trying to build them. There are those horrible moments, and somehow over the weekend we managed to scramble enough money together to get ourselves below the limit, and then we managed by the Friday to move banks. And I think one of the lessons actually which people might learn from this is we actually we had a 3 million overdraft facility. We'd made 12 million profit from our record label that year. We had a fantastically successful label, Genesis, Janet Jackson, the Rolling Stones, Phil Collins. It was it was the most successful record company in the world, and here was a bank going to bankrupt us. And this record company, a year later, we sold for $1 billion. So they were going to bankrupt us over 200,000 over our limit. Anyway, at the end of that week, we'd moved from that bank, and Lloyd's Bank Credit, they took us on for 30 million. So they 10 times the amount that the other bank were going to bankrupt us for. Coots, they were called, by the way. The Queen's Bank. Anyway, so I think the lesson to be learned is don't don't think forever. You know, people have to never change banks. They like doctors, they never change doctors. But anyway, if the bank's not treating you well, go and try other people.
Yeah, the other moral of that story, the one I take from it, absolutely, is the day you are on a Friday thinking I've got to raise 30 million quid, you pulled in all the favours you could from people you've done business with.
Actually, it was 200,000 is what we had to raise to get out to buy the Monday. But anyway.
Okay, but you just pulled in favours from people who liked you. And liked you.
Having a good relationship with suppliers. I mean, we pulled in favours from suppliers around the world, and yeah, it goes back to having being liked, having good relationships, treat people well, and in tough situations they may come through.
Sure. Well, Richard said he'd like to give questions to the audience. I don't know quite how we're going to do this. There's a lady waving there.
If possible, I think.
Can we get a mic to the front?
Don't pitch businesses.
Sorry. So if you say who you are, and please make it a question, not just sort of expound. So what's your name? What's your question for Richard?
And for both of us.
Yeah, for both of them. Yeah, and
all three of us.
Hello, my name is Beverly, and my question is twofold. Let me ask the first question. Is it possible that I can have a picture taken with you, Richard?
Come up here, yeah. Don't see any steps, but come and stand here. All right, for entrepreneurial. All right, keep asking the next question while she's doing this. Yeah.
I'd like to know if David Cameron got back to you on your sustainability policy, renewable energy, because I'm now working for freetricity.com, and I went to the Arctic with Greenpeace. So what was David Cameron's response to your letter recently?
He would have only just got it, so haven't had a response yet. But can we do this quite quickly? Anyway, just somebody take it, and then we'll.
Richard.
Anyway, he. Thank you. Sorry.
I'll make sure.
Look, I think it's an important point. The globe is heading towards, I think, an environmental disaster, and yet the world is not rallying around to sort out the problem, and it's apart from global warming, we've also got a situation that we're running out of fuel. We're running out of oil, so it is imperative that we do everything we can to get clean, to be run by clean fuels. I mean, at Virgin, all the profits that we make from our airlines, which isn't that much, but anyway, any profits we make, we're investing in trying to come up with fuels that we can fly our planes on that will not pollute the environment. So things like isobutanol or algae-based fuels, or one big breakthrough is taking the rubbish that goes up the chimneys of aluminium plants and turning that, the carbon from that, turning that into jet fuel, which is very exciting. British entrepreneurs come up with that as an idea. So, so I think it's imperative that we move to this country must be, I don't know, 50% clean energy by 2020. I mean, it's that urgent, and we're not heading that way as fast as we should.
But the gentleman there, sir. Mic not working?
I can hear you anyway.
Apparently, there's a problem of DVT on aeroplanes very often. And apparently, I've got a solution. I'll give you a card for it.
You've got a card here, so.
And if you contact him, I'll give you a fantastic solution on the subject. But
on it.
20 to 30 people a day landing on the Heathrow with the DVT problem.
Yeah, I will certainly look at look at what you have to say. Thank you.
How about the gentleman there? Young entrepreneur we have. You're an entrepreneur, sir?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So your name, sir, and your question?
My name's Cameron, and I'm going to ask when you're going to be Prime Minister.
Yeah, buddy!
With a name like Cameron, you should be running. Anyway, thank you very much. No desire for career in politics, really.
No, I think, look, I think, just going back to what I said earlier, I think people get into positions of responsibility, just use those positions to get out and make a difference. And so I'm not going to go into party politics, but promise that any issues that I feel strongly about, I will speak out about, and they can be controversial issues which politicians, sometimes have difficulty speaking out about. I mean, for instance, I'm a global commissioner on looking at the war on drugs and seeing whether it's worked or not. And on that commission, you've got Kofi Annan, you've got Paul Volcker, George Shultz, 15 South American ex-presidents, and it's headed up by President Cardoso of Brazil. And we've looked, for the last 2 years at the global war on drugs, and we've just seen every year the problem's got worse and worse and worse and worse. More and more people are taking drugs, and more money is spent locking people up. More and more, and all the misery that goes with that. 100,000 people in the UK get a criminal offence for smoking cannabis every year, which means it makes it difficult for them to go into America, or, which makes it difficult for them to start businesses and so on and so on. And so we then examined other countries. As a businessman, if I'm thinking of setting up a business and my business is not doing very well, I'll go and look at other examples. So we looked at Portugal, we looked at Germany, we looked at Switzerland, we looked at Australia, and those 4 countries. In Portugal has not sent one person to prison in the last 10 years for taking drugs, any kind of drugs. They moved the department who deals with drugs from the Home Office to the Health Department, and so it's the Health Department that's now in charge. Drugs are treated as a health problem, not a criminal problem. If you have if you're a heroin addict, you don't have to be frightened about going and getting help now and feel you're going to get arrested. You go along to a committee that in Portugal of psychiatrists and 3 other people. They will obviously recommend that you get treatment, but they won't force you into treatment until you're ready for it, because there's no point. You've got to, in your head, be ready for it. In the meantime, they'll give you clean needles and methadone, so you don't kill yourself by injecting yourself with something horrible or getting HIV from dirty needles. And the result in Portugal has been that the amount of people on heroin has dropped by 50%. The amount of people who are actually in clinics has gone up, which is a good thing. The amount of HIV is dropped dramatically, and the amount of break-and enterings in Portugal has dropped massively, because people don't have to break and enter to get their drug fixed. And of course, the country saved enormous amounts of money from stopping people sitting in prison. Sorry, that's a pet subject of mine at the moment. But anyway, so we're trying to push. The Drug Commission are trying to push decriminalisation of drugs on a global basis.
Thank you. Just a quick question. I just want to ask that young man. My name is Dayo Olomo. I just want to ask you, what are the 3 tips you learned from Sir Richard in doing business?
Very good.
And Sir Richard, what are the 3 tips you can give somebody who wants to transform his business in this current climate? Thank you.
So, 3 tips, Simon.
3 tips very quickly. The first one, the people, is to invest in people. So no matter what type of business you're doing, whether it's in software, whether it's in agriculture, investing in people is an investment that's going to pay back. The second thing would be just never to give up. Have a tenacity, and within that tenacity, have an emotional, having some emotional resolve. So when things don't always go according to plan, you can still get up and carry on. It's a very popular British saying, I suppose. Keep calm and carry on, I think. And I think lastly, just, if you have an idea, it's not about a lack of opportunity. A lot of people say I don't have an idea, or there's nothing in it for me because there's no, but there are opportunities everywhere. You just have to go for it, essentially.
Excellent. Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, please. Do stick around. We do have to go. We got Raymond Aaron coming on. Who's going to be talking about branding, specifically virgin branding.
Can you ever what?
Mike, no, Raymond,
Actually, I'll tell you what. We haven't had one question from up there.
It's a booker, isn't it? The producers are going mad.
I got a feeling. He wants to know. Yeah, I don't. Got a feeling you don't need a lot of advice. You look like a young lad, absolutely determined. You're dressing really suave. I have to teach me how to dress. Anyway, all I can say is I've got a feeling you're going to go a long way. I can't see you very clearly, but my gut feeling is there. My instinct. Yeah. And no, just get out there. As I said, get a great team of people around you. Go and shake up whatever industry you're going to get into. Have an enormous fun doing it. Don't take yourself too seriously. Make sure the people who work for you have an absolute blast doing it as well. Look after them well. Make sure that you always offer great value for money and great quality in whatever you're doing with the public. Treat them well as well. And come and have a photograph. Come backstage, we'll let you in somehow. Oh, look, I'll tell you what, just before I go, I just want to say something. I was coming in here today and I was looking at Twitter, and I saw a couple of sort of little bits of feedback, people having difficulty getting in here, and some aspects, some places around here are a bit cold and so on. And I just thought about the person who had actually invited me to come here, and I think you all should know about him. He's 24 years old. He's called Vishmail, and he came up with this idea that maybe he could get people like Richard Branson, Bill Clinton, other people to come and speak, but actually enable people to come and listen to them, and not to have the enormous price that people are normally charged to come to speak to well-known people. Maybe even get them in for free, and get some sponsors to sponsor the event, so that they could come in for free, and also so that you could get big payments to charity, to good causes as well. Things like the School of Entrepreneurship or whatever in Africa. And anyway, I think he's pulled it off fantastically well, and I think it'd be lovely if he could come up on stage.
Everyone finding him on Facebook now?
What we're going to do is